I think I need to share screen, is it?
Yes, sir.
Can you see my screen?
No, sir.
Not yet, yes. Share. Yeah, I think now you can see my screen. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
It is clear now.
Okay, now you can see. Okay, so yes, now is it visible that this is the first slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so a very good morning to all of you. So myself, Dr. S. Nandi from CSIR CMERI, and I am very happy to start the class on industrial robotics and automation today. And due to some busy schedule, I am sorry to say that we could not start the class last week. However, I'm happy to start it today, and there are little bit backlog. I will be happy if I can we can cover the classes. Instead of 1 hour, it can be of 1.5 hour or 2 hours sometimes. Okay, so that we will let you know. So basically, we have also various other involvement at our office. Related to research and other management activities. So that's why we need to have that kind of, we will discuss, okay, if, or we'll inform you that, okay, if this class will be for 1.5 hour or 2 hour, like so. So I will request all the participating industrial, colleagues or students who will be participating in this course to cooperate in this regard. Okay, so may I now may I know who are present in this class one by one, and maybe what is the discipline you are involved with? That will be helpful to get a clear idea about future course context to plan accordingly also. So is it possible to maybe 5 minutes time we can have some introduction? So
Yes, sir.
let me introduce myself also. So I am working in the robotics and automation. My expertise is in the domain of robotics and automation. So last 21 years I am working in this domain. So specifically in the domain of manipulator development, mobile robotics, and underwater robotics. Okay. So I will show you some of the glimpses of videos what at CSIR CMERI we have developed, and then you will get some flavor that what are the requirements for a particularly for a robotic system, and then we will be giving a broad idea what are the components needed for development of robotic systems, starting from manipulator to a mobile robotic vehicle to Chandrayaan, to what are the vehicles ISRO or other space agencies they are sending to space, and also for industrial perspective, what are the requirements to develop industrial robots or similar kind of things. So this will be this is a challenge for us, because basically we are not familiar with online courses. So this is the first time we are taking some online courses, though we have a research wing at our institute, and we have some PhD students also, PhD students as well as some MTech course in mechatronics. But we are offering the courses mostly on offline or in board. Sometimes we are writing in board, and students are also in online mode. So I think in some courses it might be required, instead of going through instead of only PPT slide, we have to take the help of the board also. Okay, so particularly the technical core technical part of robotics, the kinematics, dynamics, in that perspective, or optimization techniques, where the participants they may need some technical clarification. For that we need to use the board also. So my background is mechanical. Then I did PhD in robotics from Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, in the domain of robust control and sensor fusion. Okay. So now I request everybody to introduce themselves with background, maybe just 30 seconds each. That will be a good idea. So how we will be going for sequence, or am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so then how we'll proceed? Maybe coordinator can help that one by one they will introduce themselves. Do you have any list of students that or participants who are attending this course?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So then
good morning,
you.
sir. This-
Yeah. Who is? Yeah. What's your good name?
Sir, my name is Abhijit Kumar, sir. We had a conversation regarding the class and everything. I'm the coordinator for the class. And
Okay. Yeah, so please you just tell one by one the name of the participants, then they can introduce themselves by 30 seconds each.
okay, sir, sure. Sir, I'll be naming the students
Yes.
in the class, and they
Yeah.
can have their intro as well.
Yes.
So we can start with Mr. Amitesh. Hello.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Yeah. Please introduce yourself by 30-second time.
Okay, sir. My
Yeah.
name is Amitesh Raj. I am mechanical engineer. Yeah, I am passed out from NIFT Ranchi in MTech in Founding for Technology, sir.
Okay. Fine. You are working in some industry?
Yes, sir. Now working in Kisan Diatech Forging Company, sir.
Kisan Diatech Forging Company. Okay. So is there any robotics involvement application planned in your industry being planned?
No, sir. Actually, there is no.
Okay. So Abhijit ji, I will be happy if you can send the list of students with their background and which industry they are working. Okay, that will be also helpful for us to plan the course in the as it progresses. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, sir, sure. Right
Yeah.
after the class, I'll forward you the list or the.
Yes. May not be today, or
name.
you can. Yeah, it might be within 1-2 days. No issue. Okay, then
Yes,
second.
sure. Second, we can start with Harshit Agarwal. Hello, Harshit. Hello. Okay, maybe he's not present.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm Bhargav Male.
Yeah, good morning, sir. Hello.
Yes. I can hear you.
Okay. Good morning, sir. Myself
Bhargav Male. I have passed BTech in the year 2020 last year from NIFFT Manufacturing Engineering. Currently, I am working in Air International Tata Toyo Radiator, Pune.
Okay. So is there any robotics activities are there at your institute?
Like not robotics, but automation has been developed in the industry.
Okay.
Like everything is artificial intelligence. They have been using with the robot like machines, and we'll be getting the messages if the machine is off for around half an hour.
Okay, fine. Next.
Next we can go with Sunil Gupta.
Hello. Good
Hello.
morning, sir.
Yes.
Good
I am
morning.
Sunil Gupta. I did my BTech from NIFT Ranchi 2012 in manufacturing discipline. I am working with Mahindra Swaraj Division Foundry. Mahindra Swaraj Division is making grey cast iron component for tractor parts. Right now we are planning for HPM high production line. In there we are planning for robotics to
Okay.
handle the core for core making from machine and dipping also.
Okay. Fine. Next.
Next, we can go with Sai Krishna.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
So I'm Sai Krishna. I completed my BTech in metallurgical background in an NI50, passed out in 2019, sir. Presently, I'm working in Ashok Leyland Foundry Division in Chennai, sir.
Okay. Fine.
And in our company, we use robotics for the transfer of the core and dipping, painting, and after painting, transferring to the oven. Like we'll use the core. Robotics we use, sir.
What kind of robots are being used there? ABB or KUKA or some in association with some mobile platform?
I don't have much idea, sir. Actually,
Okay, fine.
I visited that unit, sir. I'm not currently working in that unit.
Okay, fine.
Yes.
Next, we can go with Pawan Kumar.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Myself, Pawan Kumar. I've completed my bachelor's in manufacturing engineering from NIFFT, and I passed out in 2020. I'm currently working as a GET in JSW Steel Limited, sir, Mumbai.
Thank you, Pawan. The next name would be Abhishek 1509. Kumar Abhishek.
Yes, good morning, sir. Myself, Abhishek Kumar. I completed my BTech from NIFT Ranchi in manufacturing discipline, and I completed my master's in design and manufacturing from IIT Kanpur. And right now, I'm faculty in Indian Maritime University, Kolkata campus.
Okay. So you did MTech in IIT Kanpur in which discipline?
Design and manufacturing.
Okay, design. So I think you have already studied some course in robotics, yes?
Not robotics, related to vibration and control.
Okay, fine.
So Kunal Kumar could go next.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
So my name is Kunal Kumar. I did my bachelor from AKTU University in mechanical discipline, and then after I did MTech from NIFT Ranchi, and now I'm preparing for the jobs.
Okay.
Hello.
Yes, yes. Yeah, we have.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes. So Prem Prakash Singh will be the next name on the list. Hello, Prem, are you there?
Yeah, hello. Good morning to everyone. Yeah, I'm Prem Prakash Singh. I did my master degree from Foundry and Forge Technology, NIF, Ranchi. Last year, I were in DISA India Limited, Bangalore, where I did something for robotics to pick up the core and place in the ACF, means auto core fixture, which will fix the core in the Disamatic molding machine. And right now, I am searching jobs.
Raj Avinash.
Sorry to interrupt, but I think Mr. Nandi has left. If he comes now, then we should continue.
Yes, I could also see that I cannot see Mr. S. Nandi on my call list. So yes, we'll wait for him to join, and once he joins, we can resume with it.
Yes, yes. Thank you.
Hello. Probably it was disconnected from my side, or
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We could see that. So we had stopped the intro, and now we can resume with it. So
Yeah.
Mr. Raj,
Kunal
I
Kumar.
guess.
Kunal Kumar was there, no, last.
Okay. Yes, Kunal Kumar. Yes. Sir.
Next 9. Yeah. Kunal Kumar, I got the information. Next one, please.
Next one goes for Naveen Abhinav.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
My name is Abhinav Naveen Sinha. I am a 2020 batch pass out, and I am working in Veldomac Engineering Private Limited since last year.
Okay. So, any experience in the domain of robotics?
No, sir. In our company, we have robot welding, but I don't have much experience, much exposure in robot. I will learn by this class.
Okay. Okay, of course, it will be beneficial for you to get involved in the domain of robotics area. Yeah. Next.
So Prem
Hello?
Prakash Singh. Hello.
Yes.
Yes.
Hello, good morning to everyone. Here I'm Prem Prakash Singh, did my master degree from Foundry and Forge Technology, NIF, Ranchi. And last year I did a fixture for robot to pick up that core and fix in the ACF, means auto core fixture for the Disamatic molding machine.
So, what kind of robot you have used? What robot?
ABB robot.
Okay. ABB robot. What is the payload?
Don't have the much idea about that one, because they have given only limit to that fixture weight should not exceed the 40 kg. That's all.
Okay. It is just a pick and place sort of thing, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next.
Raj Avinash.
Good morning, sir. This is Avnish Raj, a pass out of 2020 in Metallurgy and Materials Engineering. Currently, I am working in a foundry industry in Jaipur, sir, in methoding and design department as a junior manager. So the company is Sri Balaji Industrial Products Limited.
Okay, fine.
That's all.
Then we can move on with Rajnikant, Mr. Rajnikant.
Hello.
Yes, audible.
Hello.
Good morning, sir.
Good
I am
morning.
Rajnikant, born and brought up in Ranchi, and I have completed my BTech from NIFT in manufacturing branch in the year 2003. I have total work experience of more than 15 years. I started working from Godrej, then I worked in Usha Martin, then I worked for Tata Motors for more than 10 years. Then I am working with Mahindra in service division right now. In Tata Motors Pune plant, CBU plant, I have seen robots working in welding in BIW shop.
Okay.
So the next name on the list would be hello.
Yes.
Sakib. I assume that there's some technical glitch with Sakib. He cannot connect to us right now. Maybe later. So the next name goes for Satendra.
Yeah. Good morning to all.
Good morning.
Myself Satyendra Dattatre. I have total 10 years of experience in casting method, simulation, design, and process control. Basically, I was a manufacturing engineer, graduated in 2011 from NIST. In my previous company, Sigma Electric, we had lots of robotic arms. We were using them in the machine shop for loading and unloading. Also, one of movable robot which is under installation is now for taking castings from foundry automatically and loading them onto the machine shop.
Okay. So is it it was interfaced with some mobile vehicle or it is a standalone manipulation?
It's a mobile vehicle. Last one is the mobile vehicle. It, from foundry to machine shop, it can move automatically on the pre-decided paths.
Okay. So it's a autonomous guided vehicle, AGV sort of thing.
It is replacing the Spider Boy.
Okay. Fine. So you are also directly involved in that robotic activities?
No, I am not involved directly. Our other team is involved. Because we are the two parts of manufacturing engineering. One is the casting development, and another is machining activity. So the machining team is involved there.
Okay.
The next name on the list is Veer Pratap Singh.
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
My introduction. I did my MTech in manufacturing engineering.
I think your voice is not properly audible. Veer Pratap.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Is it audible? Hello.
Yeah. Please repeat.
Yes, sir. I did my manufacturing engineering from. Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So go ahead, please. Yeah.
Sir, I did MTech in manufacturing engineering.
Okay.
From NIFT.
Okay.
Sir, I have no industrial experience related with robotics.
Okay. Fine.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
And the final name on the list for today would be Yash Khandelwal. So Yash, you can proceed.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, I am Yash Khandelwal. I did my MTech in manufacturing engineering from NIFT Ranchi in 2020. And during my MTech project, I work on robotic welding in CSIR NML Jamshedpur. I work on wire arc additive manufacturing. In there, I have built a solid block component by robotic MIG welding, that is CMT process. I use KUKA robot there.
Okay. KUKA robot. And CMT is what is the full form?
Cold metal transfer, sir.
Cold metal transfer. You worked with which scientist?
I work with Dr. Rajnish Kumar Gupta, a principal scientist in CSIR Animal Jamshedpur.
So as a project fellow?
No, sir. I did my MTech project there.
Oh, MTech project. Okay. So it was a nice experience, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Next. Anybody else?
Sir, that will be all. No, sir. That will be all. We have currently as many students, and everyone has completed with their intro.
Okay, fine. So then let me start the session today. So now my screen is not visible yet, yes?
No.
No, sir.
Okay, now is it visible? So
Yes,
this slide is visible,
Yes, sir.
yes? Okay. So today I will be covering mainly the introduction to robotics part, and here we will be discussing the history of robotics, and then what kind of applications we can perceive with the various kind of robot, and we will be covering the essential module of robotic system. Okay. So you know that robotics is a vast domain. So you have heard about various kind of industrial revolution, yes? First industrial revolution, second industrial revolution, third industrial revolution, and now fourth industrial revolution also took place, and we are looking for fifth industrial revolution. So this is fourth industrial revolution is at present, it is going on, and it is like first industrial revolution, we have how the machine has been discovered. Second industrial revolution, we have seen that how mechanization can be done for a machine, and third industrial revolution, the robotics and other things took place. Fourth one is how the robot can work with human at tandem, okay, without harming the human being. So this term is coined as cobotics. Okay, that means human machine interaction or human robot interaction. So we will be shortly discussing various kind of thing, and presently you are looking for industry 4, that fourth industrial revolution, that industry 4, and human machine in the collaboration, or HMI, human machine interaction. This kind of terms has been coined, and people are also embedding the machine learning, artificial intelligence, all this sort of thing to make the machines more intelligent, so that you don't need to push your head for further on you are installing that kind of component or machines or robots in your paradigm. So you will be getting more productivity, and you don't need to you replace the manpower also. So basic concept of robot installment of robotics, or inclusion of robotics or automation in the industry is not to replace the manpower. It is to increase, keeping the same manpower, you can increase the productivity, you can increase your profit. That should be the motive, instead of replacing the manpower with robots. So that afraid or fear is always present within the human community, and of course we will be we need to deal the system in that way. So robotics doesn't mean like when the computer revolution took place in India also. So people are thinking, am I audible? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
people are thinking at that moment that if the computer is coming into picture, lot of manpower will be curtailed. Okay, so that was a misnomer. That was not a right concept. So, and recently you can see that a lot of industrial automations are going on. Lot of industry, they are incorporating robotics activities in their domain to make the activity easier, so that human beings who are working in the hazardous domain, they can get relief from that. However, the basic objective is to replace the human being from hazardous domain, but it is not that to curtail their job. The main objective will be to increase the productivity, keeping the manpower in that company or in that industry. So in this respect, let me, as we are starting robotics, and most of you are not familiar with what is a robot. So what is a robot? So robot is basically a Czech word. Okay, so Czech word robota. So robota means a forced labor or worker. And this term has been coined by a Czech writer who was also a playwright as well as a critic. And he coined this term in one of his playwright, which is known as Rossum's Universal Robots in 1920. So almost more than 100 years old. So this robota means forced labor, and this term has been first coined by a Czech writer who was a famous Czech writer, and he has been nominated for. He has been several times. He was also nominated for Nobel Prize, but unfortunately he didn't get the Nobel Prize. But he has got several famous awards which are in his credit. So this Rossum's Universal Robot, or RUR, is a famous playwright. It's a famous play where he has put the term robota. So from that only that robot term has been coined. So what is the definition of robotics? Robotics is traditionally defined as it's a reprogrammable multifunctional manipulator designed to carry out different tasks for variety of industrial applications. So it is not that the robot means only manipulator. Now you can see various versions of robots, starting from manipulator, which are standalone robotic system. Apart from that, there are mobile vehicles which are known as mobile robotic system, which can work in land, and the manipulator can be mounted on that mobile vehicle. That is also another possibility to keep the mobility or to execute various kind of jobs. So and this mobile robot has also various spectrum. That mobile robot, it can work underwater, it can work in land, it can work in space. And probably most of you know that recently ISRO in 2019, they have started the Chandrayaan. In their Chandrayaan-2 mission, they have sent through that GSLV satellite. They have launched that orbital vehicle, and from there the Vikram lander came out, and from there another rover it came out for inspection of the inspection at the surface of the moon. And finally it was not fully succeeded, but hopefully in Chandrayaan-3 we can get that success. And that kind of applications people are now thinking in the domain of robotics. Okay, so it is not that only manipulator we are restricting, but the definition of robotics, when it was formed, that time the definition of robotics was like this. It is like a reprogrammable. That means you can change the program, you can use this manipulator for various kind of applications, starting from pick and place, keeping that suppose hot bearing ring from one place to other in a matrix form, and then it is multifunctional. So instead of hot bearing ring, you can use some other pellets or hot bricks, big kind of pellets. So it is multifunctional. That's why it is called multifunctional, and it is designed to carry out different tasks for variety of industrial applications. So it might be painting, it might be pick and place, it might be inspection, it might be. So manipulator cannot be used for inspection. Yes, it can be with camera. You can, if you have some template, it can be used. But mobile robotic vehicle, it can be used for inspection, surveillance, and that kind of application. So I will be coming in the consecutive slides. So this is, if we discuss the prehistory of robots, then we need to know something about automata. So a machine or control mechanism designed to follow automatically a predetermined sequence of operations or respond to encoded instructions. So this was the requirement. So scientists, they have developed a machine for various kind of applications. Now after that, the mechanization took place, and that mechanization people try to automate so that a particular machine without human involvement, they can perform as per our desires. So this was the basic concept, and now after that, with keeping that dream in mind, lot of development took place, and finally the scientists, they are able to deliver that system which can follow automatically a predefined sequence of operation, or it can respond with the encoded instruction which are provided with the help of a software module. So am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now if you look back about the history of robots, then it is very fascinating. So in 1947, the first servo-powered teleoperator is developed. So probably you know the term motor. Okay, so motor or actuator. So motors are of various kinds. So some of the motors it work with AC power. Some motor it work with DC power. Some motors are known as servo motors also. Servo motors that are meant for very precision accuracy. So whenever you are looking for high precision or high accuracy, you need to use servo motors. So servo motors, it might be electrical servo, it might be hydraulic servo also. Okay, so depending on power requirement or the type of work you want to carry out with the help of robotic system, so you need to choose whether you are looking for electrical system or hydraulic system. So power, with both kind of pack, you can choose your you can choose your exact requirement. So in 1947, so the first servo powered teleoperator is developed. Teleoperator means that a cable connected robot. And nowadays you can see the robo or unmanned vehicles which are not connected with cables. So it works through RF communication, radio frequency communication, or whenever it is underwater, it works through acoustic communication mode. So first servo powered teleoperator was developed in 1947, and it was connected with cable. In 1948, a teleoperator is developed incorporating force feedback. So now the question is, why it is called, what was the requirement of a force feedback? So you know that there are two kind of systems. So one is open loop system, another is closed loop system. So whenever a system is made, whenever this system is operated in open loop, that means there is no feedback or no sensor information you are receiving to judge your accuracy. You are giving some input and you are getting some output. That's all. And whenever there is a feedback, then you are checking, okay, I need to move this distance, but ultimately that system has moved this much of distance. So from that feedback, you are trying to correct, okay, what is the mismatch? So that mismatch you are trying to give through extra comment on your actuator. So that's why, so people thought that that open loop system will have no will not be able to provide the required accuracy. That's why they have started to develop the control system which will be having a force feedback. Okay, so in 1949, research on numerically controlled milling machines was initiated. So basically CNC machine, and now you know, a lot of you are working in industry, and you know what is the type of development took place in the domain of numerically controlled milling machines. And nowadays it is more advanced. It is also known as computerized CNC machines, basically computerized numerical control machines. And you are presently, people are looking after the accuracy in the range of maybe within 10 micron level, or very recently we'll see that accuracy in the range of nanometer also possible with the help of the CNC machine. So in 1954, George Devol, a very famous scientist, designed the programmable robot. Okay, so the programmable robot, so as the definition of robot says, it is a reprogrammable multifunctional manipulator arm. So that's why the programming skill or programming language should be decided, and that kind of program you need to embed into your robot so that you can use it for various kind of applications. So then in 1956, Joseph Engelberger, a Columbia University physics student, so he buys the rights of Devol's robot and founds the Univation company. So this is the first industrial company in the history of robotics. In 1961, the first Unimate robot, so as the company name is Univation, that Columbia University physics student, he named that robot as Unimate robot, installed in a Trenton, New Jersey plant of General Motors assembly line. So in 1961, the first robot incorporating force feedback information is developed. In 1963, the first robot vision system is developed. You know, robotics is a multidisciplinary activity. It is a amalgamation of mechanical engineering, computer science engineering, electronics engineering, electrical engineering, and also for aesthetics, there are some other involvement who has very big, good background in the domain of, might be, I should say, even there are involvement for designing good looking or aesthetic point of view. So that kind of person also can participate in robotics. And if you form really a multidisciplinary team, the work will be very easy. Otherwise, only a single mechanical engineer or single computer science engineer, they will not be able to develop a robotic system which will be much more fruitful for a particular application. So it should have a multidisciplinary paradigm or multidisciplinary flavor. So in 1963, first robot vision system is developed. So sensor is a very important component for robotic system or any other system which you need to which you have a plan to automate it. Then like force feedback, you need a sensor to get the force feedback. Like if you inspect something, you need a vision system or camera. Okay. In 1971, a Stanford arm at Stanford University was developed. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
In 1973, the first robot programming language Wave is developed at Stanford University. So, robot programming was it was a very tough subject at on that era, and first robot programming was VAL. Okay, so VAL1, VAL2, that sort of thing, and Wave is a updated version of VAL1, VAL2 in that regard. So this robot programming, earlier people used to follow. Even when we started to work in the domain of robotics, we have used this VAL1, VAL2 as well as web. But nowadays it is a open source platform. Okay, people, they are now using robot operating system software, ROS, or still a lot of people, they are still developing the robot programming using the software C, C++, like that. That is the core language now. In 1974, Cincinnati Millacron, that is a very famous company at the time, introduces the T3 robot with computer control. So in 1975, Univision Inc., that which was formed by the physics student of Columbia University, they registered the profit. And in 1976, the remote center compliance device for part insertion in assembly is developed at Draper Labs in Boston. And 1978, Univision introduces the Puma robot. So that was basically the first application of robotics in industry domain. This Puma robot is very famous and it has got multiple degree of freedom. I will be discussing what is the definition of degree of freedom. Okay, so like if you think of our hand has multiple degree of freedom. So we have a shoulder, we have a knee, and we have finger. So every finger that has got some degree of freedom. Okay, so our human hand will have multiple degree of freedom, and to carry out some work, you need to have a system which can have multiple degree of freedom. So if you can think of a point, so what is the degree of freedom of a point which is moving in a plane? Anybody can? No, I'm taking degree of freedom of a point which is moving in a plane. In a plane. Only XY. Yes.
One. Yes.
2 degree of freedom. But if a point is moving in space, then there are 3 degree of freedom, X, Y, and Z. Yes. I'm talking about a point. Now, instead of a point, if it is a 3D object, like aeroplane, you think of, how many degree of freedom is there? Anybody? Plane moving in a space. Okay, so that's why a 3D object moving in space, it will have how many degree of freedom?
6 degree of freedom.
6 degree of freedom. 3 linear motion, X, Y, Z, and 3 rotational motion. And if you think of an underwater robot which is moving in a underwater domain, that will also have 6 degree of freedom. Okay, so that's why this degree of freedom concept is very important. Okay, so degree of freedom is the number of independent coordinate is required to define a system, or is required to define the configuration of a system. Okay, so Univision introduces the Puma robot. So Puma full form is the Programmable Universal Manipulation Arm. Okay, so after that, simultaneously in Japan, they have also started development of SCARA robot. So SCARA is the full form. These two, Puma and SCARA, these are very famous robots which have several industrial applications. Okay, and including some advantage. So if you think of SCARA and Puma, so Puma robot, it is a 6 GOF robot, and sometimes it might have some redundant degree of freedom also. Suppose if you want to get something take out, if you want to take out something from below of a table, then you need to 6 degree of freedom system will not be sufficient. So you may need to have some redundant degree of freedom, and in that case, that will help to take the thing from the bottom of a table easily. Like if you think of our hand has multiple degree of freedom. So that is a unique example of creation. Okay, so creation of God. Okay, so that's why our hand, I think as it is having multiple degree of freedom, very easily we can take out a object from the bottom of a table. Okay, so but But a robot, it will not be so easy if it is having 6 degree of freedom. It should have multiple more degree of freedom than 6. Okay. So, so this Kara and Puma, you should also know what is the full form of this, because these are very important. We will be working in the domain of robotics. So, programmable universal manipulation arm, and SCARA is the selective compliance assembly robot arm. So, basic difference is that SCARA robot, it moves in a plane. Okay, so along z-axis, the robotic arm, it can move along overall robotic arm, it can move along z-axis, and if it is moving in a plane, that effect of gravity is neglected in case of a SCARA robot, as it is moving in a plane. But the Puma robot, the effect of gravity is there. So that's why there are some advantage and disadvantage of using different kind of platform such as like Puma or SCARA, depending on the application point of view. If you need to compensate gravity, then the actuator power should be bit high so that it can compensate the gravity effect. So in 1981, the first direct drive robot is developed at Carnegie Mellon University, and after that, several development took place in the domain of manipulator, then humanoid robots, then space robots, underwater robots, okay, as well as mobile robots with interface of the manipulators. So before going in some details of robotics, we should also know what are the laws of robotics. So based on that development up to 1980, up to 85, like that, the robotic community or robotic researchers, they have formed the laws of 3 laws of robotics. So a robot may not injure a human being, or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. I think it's very easy to understand. The robot may not injure a human being, or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. Second law is the robot must obey the orders given by human beings, except where such orders would conflict with the first law. And third point is a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. So these are the 3 laws of robotics. So again, I am repeating the third law. A robot must not protect its, a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. That means if it finds that some human operator is in trouble, and if I destroy myself, then human operator will survive. In that case, robot will destroy himself or herself. Okay, so that is the these are the 3 laws of robotics. And finally, robot not to injure humanity. Okay, so these are whatever history till now we have gone through. It is related to the manipulator. Okay, and people also started, lot of researchers, they started the development of mobile platform, because manipulator has a limitation that it is a standalone robot and it will have a workspace. Within that workspace, whatever instruction it will get, it will try to execute in that manner with its payload capacity and within its reach. Okay, suppose a robot is designed for 40 kg payload capacity. That what does it mean? That means it can lift 40 kg of job, 40 kg of work, 40 kg object, and that end effector is capable of, or the end effector is capable of handling 40 kg of job. So what end effector should be designed? End effector means just like our hand, which can hold some job. Okay, so and the operation might be pick and place, pick from some place, and also finally place it at a particular location. So pick from some location, place at a particular location. So this pick and place, these positions should be defined beforehand, and a program should be made so that the robot can pick a object from a particular location and it can place that object in another particular location. So due to several restriction of manipulator and standalone application constraint, the people thought of to develop various kind of mobile robots. So like Seki is the first mobile robot which was also operated in the in incorporating the AI techniques, and it was developed by Stanford Research Institute. And the NBC's task was to recognize an object using vision system, that is camera, find its way to the object. Okay, find its way to the object means that if some objects are there in its path, then it should avoid the obstacle also. Just like when we are moving from a place to a particular place, if some car is coming opposite side, or we should take care about avoiding that car. So in case of robotics, this come under the module which is known as obstacle avoidance module, and which really it embeds some intelligence into the robotic system. And it should perform some action on the object, for example, to push it over or pull some object like that, with the help of some end effector interface with some sort of manipulator. So Seki, we should know that Seki is the first mobile platform which was developed by Stanford Research Institute. So this one is four-wheel Stanford cart which was developed by Hans Moravec, and it was this was developed in 1973 to 1979. So it was equipped with stereo vision. Probably most of you know what is the function of a stereo vision. You know that human beings are really blessed with two eyes. What is the objective? Now, if you have only one eye, then you cannot get the perception of the depth information. Okay, so if you have two eyes, then through stereo vision you can also find out what is the depth of that object. Okay, so it is not you can have the perception of a sort of 3D object. So that's why if you attach multiple camera within a system, you will have a flavor of stereo vision. Then take pictures from several different angles. So that means that can be achieved with the help of two motors. One motor will give you pan motion and another motor may give the tilt motion. Yes. So take pictures from several different angles, and then the computer gauge the distance between the cart and obstacles in its path. So with the help of some distance measuring sensor, which can measure the range and bearing of the obstacle, and accordingly the controller can take decisions if the informations are in that range. Then the controller will take appropriate action to deviate the robot from the obstacle. Okay, so the computer gauges the distance between the cart and obstacles in its path, and accordingly it sends the signal to the robot so that it deviates from its original path and it can avoid the obstacle. Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So now the question is, why use robots? Okay. So most of you are from industrial background, and you should keep attention in this. So particularly as I said, the objective of use of robotic system in particular industry or some other domain is not only to reduce the manpower, it is to increase the productivity, okay, and to increase the profit of the company, keeping the manpower intact. Okay, so it is increase the product quality. So superior accuracies in the tune of might be micrometer, or in future we will be looking after nanometer also. Then repeated precision. So a human being, when he is involved in machining of a particular component, suppose in conventional machine or conventional milling or turning or I should say shaping in that, then you will find that if he is instructed to make maybe 10 piece of job, then all the 10 piece of job will have different accuracy level. So in case of CNC machine, computerized numerical control, suppose CNC milling machine you are using for some job, then you are trying to get one particular job from that machine in number of piece, and you just do the programming and then manufacture that job, and you will find all the 10 pieces of job are almost of the same accuracy level. So that's why the repeated, in case of repeated, to get the repeated precision or consistency of the product, okay. So in terms help to get the increased product quality. Okay, this is very important to use the robotic system. Then increase efficiency. So human being, they after some maybe 1 hour of working, they used to have some fatigue. Then they need to take maybe 5 to 10 minutes rest or 15 minutes rest, depending on the type of work. But in case of robo or some machineries like CNC machines, it is not required that that machine should get rest after 1 hour of time. So that's why that kind of system will help to increase the efficiency, work continuously without fatigue, and need no vacation. Then increase safety, operate in dangerous environment, need no environmental comfort like air conditioning, noise protection, etc. So, and the product cost in long run it also reduce. So it's a reduced cost, reduce scrap rate, lower in process inventory, and lower labor cost. Then reduce manufacturing lead time. So it's rapid response to changes in design. Then increase productivity, and value of the output performance also increases. Okay, so these are the basic terminology or basic utility of the robot. So it's increased product quality, increased efficiency, increased safety, reduced cost, and induce manufacturing lead time, and increase productivity. If you use a robotic system or CNC machine, then obviously the cost of product, if it is a batch production or mass production, then obviously the cost will reduce if the same thing is being done by a human being. So the basic objective of the robotic system is that to replace the human human operators from harsh working environment, so which are dirty, dangerous, dull, and difficult. So these are known as operation in 4D. Okay, dangerous, dirty, dull, and difficult environment. So environment is in most of the cases environment is inaccessible. Like if you want to send a robot in underwater environment, the environment is completely unknown to you. So that's why. So limited view or capability, you can have limited view through using some camera, but if the water is turbid, then what you will do? The camera will not help at all. So it will have maximum might be 500 millimeter to 1 meter, 1 meter viewing range. Though if it is a crystal clear water, then you may have viewing range in the tune of 10 meter or 15 meter like that, depending on power of camera. So that's why in generic sense, whenever people are thinking of, people are working in the domain of inaccessible environment where it is limited view, capability, inaccurate sensory perception. So if you think of a nuclear environment, if you think of radioactive environment, okay, nuclear or radioactive environment, then human beings who are working there, they are subjected to radiation. So we need to use the robotic system to protect the human beings. So when you are in an industry and lot of chance of accidents are there, in that case it is better to use the robotic system. So that's why it is said that it is suitable for dangerous, dirty, dull, and difficult environment. Okay, so which leads to inaccessible domain, limited view capability. Then non-deterministic, that means the environment is not completely known. It is difficult to design the robot considering the uncertainty of that environment. So that's why the robot structure and system dynamics, environment, these are completely not known. So that's why it's non-deterministic. Then dynamic, it may happen that you are planning a system design, but while designing the system you have assumed lot of things, but in actual cases the dynamics of the system is different. Okay, like in underwater environment, if you are sending some robo and you don't know that where the obstacles are there, in that case the robot, if the obstacle avoidance module is not implemented in the robot, that if that robot might hit some obstacles, and it may get damage also. In land vehicle application also, if the robot is not embedded with the obstacle avoidance module, in that case you will find that there is a chance that robot will hit with some object, and it will get damaged, and it may also harm the object also. So, and finally, the it is a continuous domain implementation. The world is not discrete or set of discrete events. Okay, so that's why what I mean that actually the environment or time is continuous, but in computer we cannot work in the domain of continuous paradigm. Okay, so we need to consider the each and every event as discrete events, and that will have also some implication in that in case of developing the robotic system. So robotics is a multidisciplinary paradigm, as I pointed out during the first slide also, that it consists of mechanical engineering. It will need the involvement of electrical engineers to design the power system. It involves the electronics engineering of the hardware architecture. It needs the computer science engineering for software architecture or software planning. So apart from that, other people, other discipline also, it is not restricted to this. It is also possible that other discipline people, they can also get involved. They also know some part of how the design can be done, or how the programming can be done, how the power system can be designed. So they can also, in general, it is a multidisciplinary paradigm, and you should form a team to get the objective of the robotic system. That means whatever you are, what is desired do you have, in that way you can plan with the help of a multidisciplinary team. And robotic system can be applied in various domains, like manufacturing. In case of industry, the manufacturing industry, they can use robots to pick some object at a particular domain and place it in some other domain for automation purpose. Okay, sorry. For automation purpose, for automobile industry, I think a lot of automobile industry, they are using now robotic system in their assembly line. In mining industry, there are huge applications like our you have Eastern Coalfield Limited or Coal India. They are presently trying to replace their human beings with the in very dangerous zone with the help of a robotic system or some other autonomous vehicle. Then in the domain of electrical and electronics, robotic systems has a very important applications. Just a moment, let me take a bit of water. Okay, just a moment. Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So robotics is a multidisciplinary paradigm. It has several applications in the domain of land, in the domain of space, in the domain of underwater. And in industry, it will have several applications in manufacturing industry, automation industry, automobile industry, mining industry, as well as electronics and electrical industry. Like if you think of some very small miniaturized robotic system which can be utilized for manufacturing of the watch, because watch has very precision components and which are very small, which may not be visible by normal eye clearly. Also, you may have to use some microscopic instruments to see and place it in a particular watch. Now, if you think of the composition of our human beings, what are the components we have, and the components which we are using for robotic system, like bones. Bones are comparable with the mechanical structure. Muscles, our human muscles, that are like actuators, actually, or effectors. Actually, we don't have that kind of actuators, but how we are getting that energy or how we are functioning, we are taking food, and through biochemical mechanism, that foods are helping us to move our muscles, okay, and to feed the energy to the muscles, and that muscles are helping to move our body, or muscles and joints that helping the human body to move in a particular fashion. So that's why these muscles are comparable with the actuators. So people are looking forward, instead of having this AC motor, DC motor, hydraulic motor, to develop this kind of actuators what have been blessed to the human body. Okay, so that kind of actuators which will have biochemical mechanism. So with the help of that only, we are getting that energy, and we are able to do all kind of work which a robot also cannot do. So, and senses, these are the sensory organs. Suppose we have 5 sensory organs, okay? So like eye, then ear, nose, and skin, and what else? And also tongue, okay? So these are the 5 senses we have. Okay, so eye, ear, nose, skin, and tongue. So, and robotic system, that also should be equipped with various kind of sensors to know its position, to know its to know its through communication module, the relative position of a particular robot with respect to another robot, or to sense a particular environmental object, okay, like its distance and range, to avoid obstacles, okay. So these are the requirements to send the particular feedback to the controller, so that if there is a deviation from the original position, in that case the robot can compensate that deviation with the help of actuator sending the required comments. So then digestion and respiration, these are also equivalent to AC-DC power converter. AC-DC power. So AC-DC power is like if a system is requiring AC power, DC power, in that case we need to use a AC-DC converter also, which will feed from AC power to DC power to that particular actuator or effectors. Then brain is nothing but it's in case of a robot, it is nothing but the controller, and knowledge is nothing but the program. So this is very important, this comparison. So mechanical structure of a robot is equivalent is bones, actuator is muscle, sensor is sensor, AC-DC power is the digestion or respiration, and controller is brain, and program is the knowledge. Now, generic utility of the robot. So, robot is a reprogrammable multifunctional system having capability to work and perform. So, it is meant to work in hazardous work environment. It's a repetitive work environment to get consistency and higher accuracy, to get higher productivity. It's a difficult handling task for humans, and if you want to do multi-shift operation, then robot is very important. The installation of robot and working with robot is very important. So it is advantages is reprogrammable and it is very flexible, and it has several applications starting from strategic, civilian, entertainment, societal, and strategic. It contains the nuclear, radioactive environment, and civilian is for civil people. Then for strategic also contains our Indian Navy and some sort of organizations which requires various kind of robotic system to protect the border of our country. And for entertainment robot, like human kind of robot like Ashimo. Have you heard of Asimo, which Honda has developed around? They started their research in 1981. They came up with the first version of Honda human kind of robot during 2000, and after that, several versions of Asimo robot has been developed, which looks like a human being. Okay, so that development took place more than 20 years. It started more than 20 years, and in 20 years. Just after 20 years, they are capable to develop the first prototype of the human sort of robot, which is known as Asimo. Okay, so advanced step in integrated mobility. So this is known as Asimo. And robotics nowadays, these are being used for various societal application. Also, will be coming in subsequent slide. So if you see that broad paradigm of robotics, already I said, so it has underwater robotics, which can be used for inspection purpose, surveillance purpose, monitoring purpose, exploration purpose, and intervention purpose. Suppose if you want to install some structure at underwater environment, and after some time, due to nature of the seawater, the structure will be some part of the structure will be obviously damaged. In that case, you need to repair the structure, you need to inspect. Then the underwater robotic platform, it have a very major role. Or even to protect the territory of a country, you need to have surveillance. You need to be 24 hours provide the surveillance operation 24 hours. Almost 24/7 hours. In that case, you need to place the underwater vehicle at the territory of that Indian or different country of your country, and then it will capture various signatures of the intruders, and that can be sent through communication channel to the required control station. Then land-based robotic system, it can be used for assembly, welding and cutting operation, intervention purpose, inspection purpose, monitoring, surveillance, explosive detection, entertainment, this sort of thing. Even this underwater robotics also, it can be used for explosive detection underwater. Then aerial and space robotics, so which has used in surveillance, mapping, monitoring, and exploration. So these are the some of the robotic system we developed at CSIR CMERI. So like this is a 4-axis servo motion control manipulator, which was developed for pick the hot bearing ring and place it at a particular matrix form. So the payload of this manipulator was 60 kg. So this is a SCARA configuration. SCARA means Selective Compliant Assembly Robot Arm. So that means this whole arm, it can move along along this z-axis vertical, and so that the gravity effect is neglected. Okay, gravity when these arms are moving, so these are moving in a plane, so directly the gravity effect is not falling on this movement of this arm. So this is a 4 axis, so that's a 4 degree of freedom. This is 1 degree of freedom. This is another arm which has another degree of freedom. This is another arm which is having another degree of freedom here, and this is the end effector which is having another degree of freedom. So that's why this system is having total 4 degree of freedom. So 1 degree of freedom is here, another degree of freedom is here, another degree of freedom is here, and the last degree of freedom is here. Then this is a gas cutting robot. This is a mobile robot mounted, and a manipulator is mounted over it to inspect some of the radioactive field container to prevent any leakage. So this is a inspection class of robot fitted with manipulator, which is used for shop floor application. So I will be showing you one small short video for this. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this is one short video. So this is a system, a mobile robot, which has a payload of 30 kg. So it is fitted with a manipulator, and it is for shop floor application only, to inspect some job. If it is perfect, then accept it and place it in some place, and if the job is not perfect, they reject it. Okay, so for that purpose only it was developed at CMER, at our lab. So, and to avoid the obstacle, it is having a laser lens finder. So probably you heard of ultrasonic rangefinder, laser rangefinder. These are the sensors which are used to avoid the obstacle. So here, these are the jobs. Suppose this job has been machined. Okay. So now you know, this manipulator, it has a camera also. So it can check whether the job is as per dimension, and if it is as per dimension, then it will accept it. Otherwise, it will reject it. Okay, so this is a mobile robotic platform with a manipulator for inspection of job at a shop floor and putting it in a particular location. Okay. So this is another video which this robot we have installed. So this is for an underground vault. Okay. So where the radioactive containers, radioactive liquids are filled in the container. So to check the radioactive container radioactive liquid should not leak from that container. So that's why this robotic system was developed to inspect the container whether there is any leakage or not. So this is a simulated environment that where we have tested, but actual environment is having around 30 such kind of containers, and there are a unstructured, there is a path. So this robot should move to each container and it should inspect, and it should send that picture to the respective station. Sorry. So this is the control panel basically. So this is some of the development in underwater robotics domain. So it is more complex than the land-based robotic system development. So this is a autonomous underwater vehicle. It is autonomous in the sense it is not connected with power cable or signal cable. So this is simply a rope, okay, and we are deploying it with the help of crane. So this vehicle is autonomous. So that means power, that is, it is power is fed from battery, and intelligence is embedded into the robotic system itself. So that's why it is called autonomous underwater vehicle. And CMERI has, so this is the autonomous, and this link. It has a camera also. It captured, picture of the underwater environment along with the fishes also. So this kind of vehicle has application in underwater surveillance as well as inspection, and also mapping in the sea floor. What kind of minerals are there? It can survey the seabed with the help of sonar. You have heard about the name of sonar, no? So it's a sound navigation and ranging. Okay. So it is based on sound wave. So this is the, so we have tested this vehicle at first we have tested it at Idukki Lake, Cochin, and then we went for sea trial from the Chennai coast. The basic purpose is inspection and mapping of the sea floor. The vehicle itself is around 500 kg, and the length of the vehicle is around 4.8 meter. That means around 16 feet. It is equipped with various sensors, actuators, camera, all sort of things. So this is a ROV. ROV means remotely operated vehicle. We have tested it up to 500 meter depth. So this one is AUV 150. That means we have tested this vehicle up to 150 meter. So this is AUV 500. We have tested this vehicle for up to 500 meter depth. So this is the ROV system. So these are the propellers or actuators. So it is fitted with cable. Power and signals board are fed by umbilical cable. So this is the ROV, remotely operated. This is the cable. But in AUV there was no cable. See, this vehicle has achieved around 500 meter depth. Gradually the depth is increasing when it is going down. So 497 meter depth. This is and this is the AV 500 that we have tested into 2017. So see that one is the development of the system, and another one is the testing. That is really a very tough activity. So this is also AV. It doesn't have any cable. It doesn't have any tether or cable for power and signal. So power is given through battery only. It is embedded here. So these are the thruster. So this kind of vehicle has several applications in ONGC, Oil and Natural Gas Commission, then NTPC, to check their condition of the pumps and other things. So this is the control panel, where from we are monitoring the whole activities. Mr. Abhijit, I think we don't have time today. No, this is the time we can. After this, we will end, and next class we will be discussing further. Is it okay, Abhijit?
Sure. Great.
So this is the GUI, that means graphical user interface. Why I am showing you all this? Basically, these are the steps of development of robotic system. Who are involved in development of robotic system? You need to develop the design. You need to simulate the control system. You need to interface number of sensors. You need to test your system. You need to develop the graphical user interface, and from there, where you will be giving the comments to the robot. And also finally the testing of the system. So I was heading this project, that's why I thought that let us show this video also. So from this, what I tried to give you that what is the complication involved in development of each and every robotic system, starting from manipulator to space vehicles to underwater robotic system or land-based mobile robotic system, which are planned for different applications. Nowadays in industry, there are a lot of industry, they are trying to integrate their whole domain with the robotic system. Also in automobile industry, in Maruti or in TVS or in other domains, Hyundai, they from long back they have installed robotic system which are developed by Japan or other countries, and in their assembly chain they have they have chain of robots which can work at a very faster rate than the human beings. So productivity can be increased, the overall cost can be reduced, keeping the human in loop. So nowadays the concept is to use human machine interface, so that human and machine can work together and they can execute a particular job with easily, compared to only a sole robot can do the same thing, or a sole human being can do that same thing. So if it is a human robot interaction, then they can work together and they can do the work in a better time than if a robot itself or a human itself can do it. So these are the basic elements. I think today time is over, then we will be covering this thing in our next class. Okay. So is there any question from your side?
No,
hello. Hello, then we'll be ending here today, or if there is no question, we'll meet. I think next class will be on Friday, isn't it?
Yes, sir, Friday.
Okay. And Abhijit, you said that there are some foreign students also, but today we didn't see them.
Yes, sir. They might not be present today, but as per the attendance sheet that I have and their location, so there are means few of students are working in Dubai, and their work location and their timing issues are regarding these. So this is the professors have agreed upon after students and everything. So we forwarded your message regarding the rescheduling, and few of the students said that they weren't comfortable. And I also have received a message from student that he's in office, so he asked for the recording of this class because he isn't available for that time. So that are the reasons.
Okay, then we'll stop here. So next class we will proceed further. So starting from the basic components of the robotic system, what are the different modules you will have, and of course, what is the importance of or how the robotic industry is progressing day by day. Okay, and what is the implication of it. So we'll be discussing in our next class. Okay, so thank you everybody then. Okay. See you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So then I'm going off mode. Yes, Abhijit?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay.